My family didn't even bother booking my plane ticket for my sister's wedding in Hawaii. They just assumed I wouldn't go. I stared at the confirmation email I never received, feeling the sharp sting of betrayal. 1 year later, they would wish they had treated me differently. Before I continue, hit that subscribe button and share this story. Trust me, you won't want to miss how it all unfolds. I remember the day vividly. My parents were so busy fussing over every detail for my sister, Emily, that my name didn't even come up once. I offered to help, suggested hotels, flights, literally everything, and they just brushed me off, like I was invisible. My heart sank as I realized they had deliberately neglected me, and the guilt of even asking to be included was mine alone. Fast forward 12 months. I hadn't said a word to anyone about my plan. While they celebrated Emily's big day in paradise, I quietly built something they never imagined. Every late night, every sacrifice, every secret meeting, I was stacking bricks on a foundation they'd never see coming. And trust me, it wasn't just money. It was power, influence, and leverage they had laughed at me for lacking. Then came the day they got the first hint. My father called, voice trembling, asking if I could maybe attend next year's wedding, if possible. I laughed softly, the kind of laugh that held both amusement and triumph. They had no idea what I had been building behind their backs. The little sister they adored? I'd outgrown their world entirely. And the shocking part? I hadn't even shown the tip of the iceberg yet. As Emily posted yet another beach photo, tagging the family without me, I realized this was my moment. 1 year of being ignored, belittled, and treated like an afterthought was about to flip completely. And the first shockwave was just beginning. I didn't respond to Emily's posts. I didn't reply to their texts. Instead, I focused on the invitation they assumed I would never get. A high-profile industry conference that I had secretly turned into my own playground. While they were sipping cocktails on the beach, I was signing contracts, securing deals, and turning connections into a silent empire. Every move I made was calculated. I remembered their laughs, the way my dad mocked my small dreams and my mom rolled her eyes at my ambitions. Little did they know, those dismissive moments fueled me more than anything. I had created opportunities they couldn't even dream of, and all from the corner of their ignorance. Then came the first domino. My sister's wedding planner called my phone. She thought it was some mistake. "Hannah, why didn't you RSVP? You're on the VIP list." I smiled to myself, letting her confusion simmer. They didn't even know I had been invited under a different name, using my new credentials. Proof that I had quietly stepped into a world they had refused to acknowledge me in. The real twist? I wasn't just attending events. I was investing in properties, tech startups, and exclusive memberships, all under my name. By the time anyone realized I had been building this empire, I was untouchable. And the part that thrilled me most was imagining their faces when the truth hit. Shock, disbelief, and maybe even regret. But I didn't want them to see it yet. The fun wasn't in immediate revenge. It was in the slow, unrelenting reveal. They thought ignoring me would make me small. They thought neglect would erase me. And here I was, on the edge of a revelation that would change everything they assumed about me. The moment finally came during Emily's big birthday celebration, a lavish event where my family once again assumed I'd quietly stay in the background. I walked in, carrying nothing flashy, just a calm smile, while every eye slowly turned toward me. You could almost hear the mental gears grinding. "Wait, she's here?" Before they could speak, I casually mentioned, "Oh, by the way, I handled the catering for tonight's event." The room froze. My mom choked on her champagne, and my dad's jaw tightened like steel. Emily's friends whispered, glancing at each other in confusion. They had no idea I had quietly built a small but elite catering company in the last year, and tonight, their celebration was running entirely on my arrangements. I let them stew in that shock for a few seconds, then added, I also partnered with the designer who did the floral arrangements and the event stage. You know, the one you've been raving about? Emily's smile faltered. The guests started noticing the subtle touches, details only someone with influence and money could pull off. And here's the twist. They had assumed I was invisible, powerless, and insignificant. But the real kicker came when I leaned over to the family accountant, whispering, "I finalized the property deals you didn't think I could manage, all in cash." My parents exchanged panicked glances. They realized that their neglect and mockery over the past year had created a version of me they couldn't even begin to control. By the time the night ended, the whispers had grown louder. Hannah did all this? She's successful? And for the first time, I watched my family feel the sting of underestimating me. The underdog they had ignored, laughed at, and pushed aside was no longer just surviving. She was thriving in ways they hadn't even imagined. The days after Emily's birthday celebration, I could feel the shift in the air. My parents avoided looking at me directly, and Emily's text went unanswered because, honestly, I didn't owe her a single reply. What they didn't know was that the small victories they were witnessing were only the tip of the iceberg. I had spent the past year quietly building not just a business, but a network of power and influence that no one in my family could have imagined. It started when I received an invitation to an exclusive investment meeting, something they had always dismissed as too complicated for me. While my dad was busy criticizing my boring job, I was learning the kind of financial strategies and deals that could change lives. I invested in startups, acquired properties, and even secured shares in a few tech firms, all quietly, all under my own name. Every dollar I earned, every deal I closed, was a silent reminder that their neglect had fueled my ambition rather than crushed it. Then came the real opportunity for revenge, the family reunion they had planned, complete with the usual pomp and ceremony, where I was supposed to be the quiet daughter who didn't make a mark. I didn't just show up, I made an entrance that turned heads. I walked in wearing a simple dress, no flashy jewelry, but my confidence screamed wealth and control. The subtle gestures, the calm authority in my walk, it all made them realize something was off. And then I dropped the first bomb. "I handled the finances for this entire reunion," I said casually, sipping my drink while watching their expressions shift from confusion to panic. My mom's face went pale, my dad's lips pressed tight, and Emily's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Every vendor, every caterer, every decoration, they had all been arranged under my contracts. The event, which they had planned to flaunt their control and superiority, was running entirely on my authority. I let them stew in disbelief for a moment before adding the second twist. "Also, the property you all admired last summer? Bought it, renovated it, and it's fully rented. That little vacation house you thought you owned, technically, it's mine now." I could see the shock on their faces. My dad's voice shook when he finally said, "Hannah, how?" I just smiled, the kind of smile that held years of silent triumph and a hint of sweet revenge. The room was buzzing. Friends, relatives, even Emily's in-laws started whispering, realizing that the ignored sister had been quietly orchestrating success on a scale no one saw coming. They were humiliated, but in a way that was undeniable. Their assumptions about me were completely shattered. I had turned their neglect into fuel, their mockery into strategy, and their arrogance into a stage for my victory. The best part? They had no idea the final act was yet to come. Everything they had witnessed so far was merely a preview. The full revelation, the ultimate shock, would leave them speechless and redefine how they saw me forever. And as I left the reunion that night, I knew the next time we met, nothing would ever be the same again. The next year, I didn't just sit back. I escalated everything. My family continued their usual patterns, blind to what I was quietly building. Then came the wedding invitation. They assumed I'd ignore again. This time, I didn't just attend, I owned the event without them even knowing. When I arrived, my presence alone made heads turn. But the real shock came when I revealed the final piece. I had acquired the company that Emily's wedding planner worked for, the same one my parents had raved about for months. Every detail of the wedding, from flowers to the catering, the music, even the photographer, was now under my control. And the bill? Paid entirely from accounts they didn't even know existed. Their pride, their sense of superiority, crumbled in seconds. I watched my mother's face tighten, my father's eyes widen, and Emily's smile falter. "Wait, you did all this?" my mom whispered, almost afraid to speak. I just nodded, calm and unshaken, savoring the moment of complete reversal. The underdog they mocked, ignored, and sidelined had become the one holding all the cards. Then came the final, personal twist. I handed them the guest book at the wedding, casually noting, "All the proceeds from this event are being donated to the charities I started last year." Their jaws dropped. They realized that not only had I built my empire in silence, but I had also used my success to make a difference, something they had never bothered to do. Their envy turned into shock, and even the wedding guests were whispering about how the ignored sister had become the power behind the entire celebration. By the end of the night, Emily was forced to confront the truth she had never expected. The little sister they had dismissed had quietly outgrown them all. Every insult, every neglect, every laugh they had shared at my expense had fueled my rise. And for the first time, they saw me, not as the girl they ignored, but as the unstoppable force I had become. I walked away that night, not with anger, but with the calm satisfaction of someone who had been underestimated for too long. They had assumed my silence meant weakness. They had assumed neglect could hold me down. And yet, in the end, the girl they ignored had written the final chapter, and it was hers.